When you first ran for election in 2015, in the general election then, your leaflet said that you became a solicitor for the NHS to help defend our health service. But that's not true, is it?
I did work for a law firm, and the department that I worked in only did work for the NHS. So
yes, but you weren't a solicitor for the NHS, and it doesn't seem that you defended the health service either, does it?
Well, no, what we did was only work for the NHS, so I was acting for the NHS.
And what you did working in this department for the NHS, in this Manchester solicitor's office, is that you worked for a lawyer, a senior lawyer in that department, who helped draw up PFI contracts which handed ownership of NHS hospitals to a Luxembourg investment vehicle.
Well, I don't.
You did that.
Well, I didn't do that personally.
Your department did it.
What I will say is that we did have a department. I did commercial property, and this is where I first experienced the intricacies and the insidious nature of PFI.
Did you work on PFI contracts?
Well, you couldn't not work on PFI if you were doing NHS estates.
So
well,
in what way? In what way were you defending?
Let me explain why.
In what way, if you were working on PFI contracts, in what way were you defending the NHS?
And I'll explain why. Now, in terms of those PFI contracts, if you were granting a lease to a GP, a pharmacy or any other local community organisation, any new health centre or new hospital was comprised of a PFI deal. So all of the leases out of that for 30 years, Andrew, would be subject to those PFI terms, insidious PFI terms, that meant they were paying far above market value for those services.
So in what, since you were involved in this, in what way were you defending the health service?
I've always been vehemently against PFI contracts.
You just worked for 7 years doing them.
How wrong they are, Andrew. I've never been unclear about my position on that.
You were part of a legal team that handed over ownership of £190 million worth of NHS assets to a Luxembourg investment vehicle. In what way was that defending the NHS?
I defended the NHS on a daily basis on a whole range of issues.
In what way?
Commercial property was one aspect of the work that I did. I worked in comprising local authority contracts to provide joint services of vital necessity to our communities. But on the issue of PFI, unfortunately, Andrew, for the NHS, it was the only game in town, and unfortunately that was the fault of a Conservative government and previous Labour governments. Any NHS manager in that NHS at the time, if they wanted to build a new health centre or a new hospital, they were only allowed to use PFI, and that was wrong.
Of course,
it didn't make
I understand. I'm not arguing about that. What I'm arguing about, what I'm trying to establish is in what way can you say you became a solicitor for the NHS? You're actually working for a legal firm to help defend our health service when actually you were presiding in a department over PFIs, over the terrible contract that was done with the Royal Liverpool Hospital, still not opened, and you're putting part of our health service into Luxembourg ownership.
So
that was your department.
I didn't put part of our health service into Luxembourg offshore bank accounts.
You didn't resign because of what was going on.
I became an MP to try and stop it, Andrew.